everyone. Today, my partner and I will be discussing all the things you need to know about training needs analysis. What is training needs analysis? It is a process wherein an organization goes through in order to determine all the training needs to be completed in a certain period of time, so that their employees will be able to do so to do their job as effectively as possible, as well as progress and grow. There are three key steps involved, which are the following. When starting TNA, you need to first decide on what you want to focus on. In this case, the skill set all of your employees need to be equipped with in order for them to do their job properly. Next, you need to evaluate the skills of your employees individually. This step will help you assess their individual skill level. This will also help you identify who are in need of additional training. After comparing the skill levels of the employees, it is important to highlight the skill gaps in order to avoid future problems. This may also help in formulating new training that may not have been done before. By doing this, it helps you decide who should attend which training sessions and to ensure that the training programs and are focusing on areas that need improvement. With all of this together, these steps are necessary so that training program are as effective as possible and so that the employees can get the most out of it. Next, I will be discussing levels of analysis. The table presented to you is a summary of the three levels. The first level of training needs analysis is organizational analysis, which focuses on the company's objectives, strategies, and goals. This level of analysis provides need-based training and also provides measurable outcomes that will aid the organization in identifying what needs to be adjusted in the training program to produce better results. This is needed so that the training programs made for the employees would help the organization achieve its strategic business objectives. It answers where is the training most needed and why is the training program recommended as a solution to a business problem. Next is operational analysis. This level of analysis will aid in identifying the kind of training needed for an employee, especially if they have areas of improvement. This is important because each employee in the organization will have different tasks and responsibilities they need to perform. By doing this, the HR is able to decide on an effective and fruitful training program to prepare employees for a specific position. In other words, it allows the HR to identify the training and employee needs in order to achieve a specified level of performance. Person or individual analysis, on the other hand, focuses on the person itself, specifically who will work in a given position and will check how each employee performs in his or her job role. Here, the HR will assess the individual employee's competencies to have the necessary skills, experience, and personality to take up the responsibility of a given position. Next, we have TNA methods, which includes questionnaires. Here, self-report tests will be used. These questionnaires will help assess how competent an individual feels and what they would like to work on. Next is observation. The main emphasis here is the method to conduct multiple observations over a certain period of time. This can be done either formally or unannounced. Next is interviews. Next is examining work. Here we can assess if the work being produced reflects the appropriate knowledge, skill, and abilities you expect for a certain role or position. By examining work, we are able to identify whether or not the output being done is quality or not. Next is assessment. This is the easiest and fastest way to evaluate employee knowledge by using a short multiple choice assessment. And lastly, competitive analysis.
Training needs analysis is a significant part of the training program development since it identifies the types of training that the organization needs. This will consequently contribute to achieving organizational goals as well as improve overall productivity. In specific, training needs analysis aims to bridge the gap between employees' current and desired performance, as well as provide information regarding the following: identify which employees need training, the kind of training they need, how the company can develop an effective training program for said employees, the training's impact on employee performance, and the costs that will be incurred as well as the required resources for these training programs. According to No, conducting a training needs analysis is the first step in establishing a successful training system. This is why, in order to have efficient employees, it is essential for organizations to implement their TNA. It is also important to note that training needs analysis often differ based on the job profile of the employees. However, all types of training analysis include four general steps. First is the performance gap analysis. Here, the performance gap of the employee is identified by comparing their current performance with the desired results that align with the organization's goals. This is done to identify the disparities between the actual and the required productivity of an organization. The second step is the root cause analysis, which involves the identification of the issues behind the performance gaps as well as determining areas for improvement. Issues are categorized as skills, resources, incentives, motivation, and/or information. Next is needs analysis. Here, detailed analysis are conducted to design the proper intervention that will help in resolving the employee's performance issues. The aim of this step is to address the issue that was identified in the root cause analysis. The last step is the recommendations. This step includes the proposal of a training solution along with the identification of the right training program that will be adopted by the organization to enhance its efficiency. So, as I have mentioned before, various organizations will have different TNAs. Here's an example of a TNA. It has the skills as well as the corresponding ratings for each individual name. This kind of TNA will be especially useful in comparing employee performance and identifying which of them needs to be prioritized in training. Here is another example of a TNA template. As compared to the first one, this is more individualized since the performance of the employee will be appraised before and after the training, as evidenced by the desired versus actual level of job competency. For all the reasons mentioned before, training needs analysis is indeed a significant part of the training program. Here's how it will greatly benefit the organization. First, it identifies which among the employees need the training to improve their performance. It also identifies the kind of training that is appropriate for the employee's skills, knowledge, abilities, competencies, and behavior. In this way, TNA helps the organization by directing its resources to those with the greatest training needs. As a whole, these practices will result in the improvement of individual and organizational work productivity, which will consequently help the company improve its services and thus help in achieving the organization's goals. However, like any other process in human resource management, training needs analysis also has its own drawbacks. First, it can be a time consuming process since it involves several assessments. TNA can also be costly, especially if the organization decided to hire a third party to conduct it. Next, TNA is a relatively long process. This means that there may be times wherein the management no longer needs to fulfill a specific goal by the time that TNA is completed. Aside from these, the effectiveness of TNA is quite dependent on the employee's response to the assessments. As such, a low response rate to the assessments may negatively impact the effectiveness of TNA. In addition, the results of TNA may be affected when employees answer the self assessment dishonestly. Nonetheless, these drawbacks are small inconveniences as compared to the benefits that TNA will bring to the overall improvement of performance in the organization. So here are the references that we used. That's all. Thank you for listening.